Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm AndyRC and today I'm checking out the WLtoys Q303A quadcopter that has been sent in for review by gearbest.com. Now me and WLtoys have a history because my second ever quadcopter was the WLtoys V666 all-in-one FPV package, and this is very similar to it, I have to say. It's just got a couple of updates, and the main one is the camera. Really, you can see there that I can move it with my finger. It's on a servo, and what it actually does is, as well as being able to tilt the camera down from the controller, it uses a gyro, so it knows when it's level. So when it tilts forward, the camera also tilts forward, and the same when it tilts back. Now, I don't think this is designed to be a stabilized system. Instead, I think what it's for is when you pitch forward with quadcopters like this, the camera points to the ground, and in this case, when you do that, the camera is going to lift up. And of course, you can control the tilt from the controller as well, and I will talk about that in a bit. Just put the transmitter on the floor for a second. If we just look at the quadcopter itself, it's got 4 LEDs underneath here, and we have a headlight up the front. And we've got landing legs, and of course we've got a hefty vibration dampener as well. One thing I really like about this quadcopter is the box is massive. Now, a lot of people wouldn't usually like that, but the quadcopter just sits in it perfect, so you can store it in the box as well. You don't have to assemble anything at all. The one problem with this is the proprietary battery. It is a 7.4 volt, so 2-cell battery. I'm not sure on the capacity there, but you can see here it just slots in there, so you have to use their charger, which sort of slots in here like that, and it charges very slowly, so you can't use a hobby grade charger. I can kind of see why they've done this, to try and make it sort of easy to use. You just slot the battery in there and there's no on and off switch, it just turns on. Another thing that you are given in the box, which I think is just awesome, is a 4GB micro SD card. I think this camera is 720p. I'll have to check that out because there's different versions of the camera, 720p, 1080p. I think because this is doing FPV at the same time, it's probably 720p, but I'll check that out. Yeah, you get your usual 4 spare blades, but of course these are already attached, which is pretty nice. And the other thing that is different with this quadcopter is it has altitude hold. Now, it doesn't deal with altitude hold in the conventional way. Let's take a look at the controller. So, of course, this is the A version, so it's the FPV version. You get given a monitor, which does just slot in the top there. It's got a sun shield. It's exactly the same one as the V666. You've got an on and off button there, and this is where you connect the charger to. You've got a dipole antenna there, which unscrews with an SMA connector, so that's pretty good. Built-in battery, of course. The frequency is fixed, so you can't change that, but I just love the WLtoys controller, and I always have done, for the fact that you can change the mode just by this switch here. Lift it up and you're in mode 2, down and in mode 1. I don't know why the hobby transmitters have not picked up on this, because I think it is absolutely awesome. So let's just check out some of the controls here. So this kind of flops about a bit, so I'll tell you what, let's just close that just so that I can show you the shoulder button. So this one goes through all of your normal WLtoys rates. So I think it starts off at 40% and then 60, 80, 100, something like that. You've got lots of different rate options there. And this one is the flip function, so it does do flips. People say that with a brushed quadcopter you shouldn't do flips, but because it can wear the motor out. But I've never had a brushed quadcopter motor wear out, so that's just my experience. I'm going to check that out anyway. And then let's see here, we've got headless mode on this button and 1 key return. Not going to touch that. We have take a photo on there and take a video down there. And this one, now this is interesting. This is the altitude hold. You can see there that we don't have spring-loaded throttle. Instead, what you do is you get it at a certain height, I believe, and then press this button and it's going to hold its altitude there. I'll have to check that out. Also, I'm not sure which one of these buttons is photo or video. I may have got that wrong. Apologies if so. I will make sure that I check that out when we fire everything up. So let's just do that, and let's see if we plug the quadcopter in. There we go, we've got some lights, and then I'm going to turn on the transmitter, make sure that the throttle is down, turn it on, it beeps for a couple of seconds, and then we should have a solid light on this. There we go, and it's still flashing, and there we go, we are bound. So there's no sort of arming procedure, it just goes. So let's take the sun shield out there. I'm going to turn on the screen there. So let's just confirm which of those buttons takes a photo and which is a video. So top one is video, so apologies for that. So if we stop that, and then that one takes a photo. I don't know if we can take a photo at the same time. Nah, it just stops the video recording. So let's get the video recording going there. And this is the problem with this field. There's just stalks of grass everywhere, but you can see that camera working there. Can you see that? It tilts on its own. Oh, one thing that I didn't mention is how to get it to tilt from the transmitter. So it is the throttle. Oops, that's all falling apart. Okay, are we gonna need that? I think I'm gonna need the sun shield, otherwise you're not gonna see very much. So to alter the angle of the camera, you use the throttle trim. So this is mode 1, so it's this trim here. If you were doing mode 2, it'd be that one there. So you can see that, really smooth, that function. I really like that. Anyway, that's enough talking. Let's get this thing flying. Let's see if I can position it in a place where it's not going to catch any grass. And let's go for a takeoff. It's a really calm day today, but it's going dark, so I'm not sure how well the camera is going to come out. We shall have to see. So at the moment, it seems that my altitude is controlled completely by the throttle. So let's see what happens. That camera's pointed slightly up. I want to move it down slightly. Yeah, that is cool. Like that. So you have the choice. It's drifting slightly, so let me put some trims in. Yeah, just slightly drifting to the right there and slightly drifting backwards. Oh, you know what? Because there's hardly any wind, I think I'm going to get a nice steady result out of this. But first of all, before we do that, let's try this altitude hold feature. So I'm going to press the button there. And what does that do? So it's holding its height there. I can see that camera moving around. You know what? The field of view is pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with that. Oh, one thing that I forgot to do, and what you should really do, actually, will it actually let you land like that? Oh, it does let you land. Yeah, let me take that altitude hold off. Find a good place to land, because something that you should do with these quadcopters is you can see the aerial underneath for the 5.8 gigahertz. What you want to do is bend that down as best as you can, because you're going to get the best reception. You see that? It's not going to always bend down, but we'll give that a try. Let's take off again. So it looks like the video records in like 3-minute segments, because I've already been flying for like 3 minutes and it's only saying 1 minute on the screen, but that's fine. So let's just see what that altitude hold does, because I think it just basically turns altitude hold mode on. So see there now, if we drop the throttle, what happens? So I drop the throttle completely there, and it's not really coming down. So it seems the altitude hold is sort of fighting against the throttle. Yeah, so take that out a second. So the altitude hold is dealt with on a button, which is interesting. So your height is fixed until you unpress the button. So if we just say go for that height there, let's try some FPV. Let's stay in this field and let's go forward. It's really strange doing the FPV because the camera doesn't point down. It stays level, which is pretty cool. Now, I don't know how big this field is, but you know what? The range isn't half bad. Let's point back. So we'll get, the picture won't be as good on the way back because the antenna is facing through the aircraft basically. But that range isn't half bad. Say 100 meters, maybe more. Yeah, I'd say more, you know. Let's try fly in that other field. I'm just a bit wary of the control range, you know. That's something that my V666 struggled with, was the control range. Although I did get a duff first of all. So I'm over the fence now, so no turning back. I don't even know how I get over to those fields. That's pretty awesome. I don't want to go too far. Okay, I'm in this field here. I'd say that was ample range though. Pretty awesome. Yeah, impressed. I think it'd take me some time to get used to that altitude hold on a button, because obviously we're used to spring-loaded sticks. You see there, the lights are flashing. I don't know if that's going to come up on the GoPro, but the lights are flashing on the quadcopter. What happens if I take it out of altitude hold mode? Yeah, the lights stop flashing. So what rate am I in here? I'm in 60%. Let's try out some of those faster rates. So 60, 80, 100. Not a huge difference. Oh, but it's fun though. There's not a ton of power, but you know, there never is compared to, say, a brushless setup. I'm always reluctant to do a punch out test because, yeah, that's it. It looks like it's actually limited, but that's fine, because sometimes you can do a punch out on these brushless, on these brushed quadcopters. I'm so used to saying brushless, and it can cause the LVC to kick in. We've got some prying sheep over there. Let's see how they deal with this quadcopter. Let's stick it in altitude hold. And let's do some FPV over the sheep. You can see the camera dipping there. What do you make of it, sheep? Tilt the camera down a little bit. They do not seem too phased. Yeah, it's a little bit disorientating because I've pointed the camera down. This is a really fun quadcopter, guys. And I get asked quite a lot, you know, why do you cover toy grade quadcopters when, you know, you could just cover hobby grade stuff? But I think it's all relevant. That is my opinion. I started off with toy grade stuff. You know, you could say that the Hubsan range is toy grade, why not? It's all ready to fly and everything, and they are brushed motors. And then the V666, also a toy, but it's a way into the hobby, you know. And you know, I've been flying for years and I still have a lot of fun with these. and many other people will as well. I like to cover all aspects of the hobby. So what I want to do is let's take it up high. Let's take it out of altitude hold mode and let's take it up. It's getting very dark here, so I don't know how it's gonna go on. Let's bring the camera down a bit. That's better. Yeah, not great dynamic range with the camera. Also want to make sure I don't drift over myself. But you know, these are recording in 720p as well as streaming the FPV. I don't know how high up I am, of course, because there's no telemetry or anything like that. But it looks pretty high to me. And we've still got full control. So it looks like the range is pretty good with this one. Just tilt the camera up slightly. Look at the estate. I keep forgetting we don't have GPS hold, so I'm sort of making sure that I haven't drifted by looking line of sight. It's not best to do FPV high up when you haven't got GPS hold, because the thing can drift and the picture will look the same. But you can see they're very high up, still getting a nice picture. So the range is very good with this one. I guess you could stick on the altitude hold. Oh, we've got an LVC kicking in there. Time to land. It's coming down fast. Need to be careful. I want to stop the video recording. Oh, that's full throttle. Oh, there we go. I think I may have lost that last video recording. Looks like the quadcopter's turned off, but I got up too high. That was my fault. And it looks like the thing's turned off. I hope that the video is cut in segments so that I didn't lose any of it. Let's just get some of this grass off here and I'll do a conclusion of the quad. So there you go, that is my review of the WLtoys Q303 quadcopter. I think it's absolutely brilliant. It didn't disappoint at all. You know, I really like that camera tilt. It's really helpful when flying forwards or backwards. I'm not too keen on the proprietary battery, but one thing that I did like is the wide angle lens here. You don't have to modify it at all. It was a really nice field of view. So yeah, this is a great quadcopter. And you know, I did think that it would be, because my V666 was brilliant. And with the altitude hold, this one is even better. I'll put a link in the description if you wish to purchase one. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.